Hello, Dr. Strife here, bringing you a new video. Today, I'm taking a look at the Capcom Fighting Collection, which is available on PS4, Xbox, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. So I was able to get the Steam version as well as the PS4 version, and I'll discuss my thoughts on these titles. Well, it's one title, but just two different platforms. I will say that the games run pretty much great on both platforms. The only issue I ran into with the Steam version was, for some reason, my laptop's volume controls were completely locked out, and I had to tab out of the game in order to adjust it. But then once I tab back in, I could play it normal. Can't adjust the volume. I don't know what it is. So if anybody knows a fix for that or had that issue, please let me know, because I would love to know how to fix that. Let's talk about the collection. You have several games, like 10 games. You have 5 Darkstalker games. 2 of them are alternative versions of 2 and 3, which have different characters. And from what I've heard, the limitations of the CPS2 hardware that these games are based on would not allow them to add additional animations for those games. So that's why those games both have different rosters. Apparently there was a Saturn version that had every character. So unfortunately, we don't get that version here, but these versions work great. So yeah, you got that. Then you got Cyberbots, which is a mech fighting game. You also have Pocket Fighter, or Gym Fighter, which is basically like a GB fighting game, a little more fun, and I think it's a little bit easier to get into than some of the other fighting games in the collection if you're not that great at fighting games. Have Hyper Street Fighter 2, which basically lets you version select which Street Fighter you want your character to play like. And Puzzle Fighter, which is what it sounds like. It's a puzzle game, but with fighting game characters in it. And it's one of the more popular ones, and I don't think I'm missing anything else. I think I've covered all the games. Oh, Red Earth! Forgot about Red Earth, which is kind of an RPG fighting game. A very unique game to the collection. One that I do believe has never been before released on a console, so now you have the ability to play that if you don't want to have to go through emulation. Each of these games also have art galleries with soundtracks you can listen to for each game, and even one for the collection itself, which has remixes of some tracks from the various games, which is so very cool. And I love that touch. The art galleries are great. You get to see the artwork for all these games here, and it's just a fantastic package. But you can go through and see all these different artworks from these games, and it looks fantastic. You have, of course, the offline mode, which you can go in and just play through the arcade mode, or have somebody else hop on the couch with you and play with that. The other neat thing is that they include the English and Japanese versions of these games, with the exception of the 2 other Darkstalker games that were never released in America. So that one was Japanese only, but yeah, you can play any version of the game you want, no matter what. My favorite thing about this collection is the fact that all the games have online with rollback netcode. And I've played both these versions, and it's really great. It feels good to play. I mean, if you have a bad connection, that's... if somebody's got crap internet or a bad connection, it's not going to completely fix that, but you're going to have less issues with fighting people online, especially if their connection is decent. The only big gripe I've had is it's hard to find matchmaking matches with other players. Sometimes it takes forever, even if you select all the games, which is a neat feature. You can select as many games as you want to search for, so you can do several different games or all the games, and then you can kind of just spin the roulette and see which games you get. You'll be able to match with and stuff, so it's kind of a way to, I think, spice up the rank searches, because you can play one game or another, or you can just search for one particular game and do that. The freedom of choice there is really, really up to you. And also the PS4 version, for some reason, doesn't display usernames. The PC version does, but the PS4 version does not, and that's where I've recorded the footage from. So you may be asking, well, which one of these games in the collection sticks out to you the most? And I got a couple that I really find fascinating. Red Earth is one, I don't know if it's one I would really play a ton, because you only have 4 characters to pick from, which is not a lot, but the single player is an RPG mode where you can level up and learn special moves. So unlike other fighting games where your character has a repertoire of moves, you start out with no moves. Now there is a password system. If you know how to enter the passwords or can find the passwords, you can even give yourself a max level character at the start of the game. So it's kind of like a boss rush. You're fighting these boss characters with huge health bars, and you try to get as far as you can. Also, Vampire Savior or Darkstalkers 3, because that game plays surprisingly well for a game of its day. It feels really good, and I would say it holds up. Because some games, there are a couple of games in the collection where the fighting feels good, but you can tell it was a product of its time. Darkstalkers, though, feels just as good as a modern fighting game, in my opinion, and it's probably going to be one of the more popular games in the collection. And it has a very vibrant community of people who love that game, and now they have a chance to go back to it. They haven't really seen this game be re-released before, except for the PS3 and 360 version of Darkstalkers Resurrection, and before that a PSP version. So now there's a modern way to play these games without having to go through the routes of emulation if that's what you want to do. Though I think all these games in the collection are fantastic and worth a play. Those are the 2 that kind of stick out to me. 3 more because it's just such a fun game. And I beat Darkstalkers 1, but holy heck, that game is rough. Not rough in like it's bad gameplay wise, but when you see all the enhancements and upgrades that Vampire Savior brings to the first Darkstalkers game, I mean, compared to the first Darkstalkers game, you can tell that they made a lot of improvements, and a lot of them for the better. So yeah, I think this collection is worth a pickup. It's $40 US, and if it is something you want to go back and take a look at these old games, and you really don't feel like doing emulation, or you just want to support them and hopefully get more releases of all these classic game collections, then I think this is the one to pick up. And I'm hoping that they do that with Marvel series games, because I would love to see the Marvel vs. Capcom games on modern platforms, and I think many people do. So I'm hoping this is the first step in that direction. But let me know what you think. Is there any game in the collection in particular that makes you interested or even excited for it? Let me know in the comments down below. And anyways, till next time, stay tuned. We're going to have some DNF Duel stuff soon. Waiting for my copy to come in the mail on Tuesday. So till then, I want to thank you all for watching, and until next time, everybody, game on.